4 years in a row, 17 times overall. How do you not take this step for granted? What do you do to maybe ground yourself and everyone in that, this is a special thing that not a lot of teams get to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's, the battle you have to fight is, when expectations are so high. I've talked about it before where, years ago when, I lived in my old house over there by Hawks Landing, and mailman comes by and wants to know what's wrong and everything okay, and I'm like, why? He says, well, I saw you guys only won 4-3 yesterday, everything okay? I'm looking at him, and then, we end up losing a game, and, same thing. Everybody all right? You okay? I said, well, yeah, it's part of the process. But when expectations are high, it adds a little bit of whatever you want to call it, stress, pressure, and how can you handle it? And so I think from the coaching staff down through the players, you start on day one in September and start the process knowing that things are going to happen throughout the season. Unexpected things are going to happen, and how you deal with them, and how you keep coming back on Monday and trying to get better. And if you keep, your emotions at an even keel, you can handle, big stresses. You can handle big disappointments. You can handle things that are thrown at you in what I call a positive way. I mean, if you're on a roller coaster ride and you're up and you're wooing and hawing, and all of a sudden you're coming down and trying to deal with life that way, it's no different than the hockey team. You find out some of the things that are positive, because every game you play, every weekend you have, every year you have, there's some positive things that happen. Knowing that every year is not perfect, every game's not perfect, and what can we do as a coaching staff to influence our players and teach our players to maybe do some things differently for the next game so we're a little bit better. And I found that, if you do that consistently, especially when things aren't going well, you have a chance to get better, and then you give yourself a chance at the end to have what looks like a pretty good season. And everything's reflected on the scoreboard. Well, the scoreboard doesn't mean you had a successful season or a successful game. I mean, sometimes you lose a game and you played pretty well, and you found some things about your team, and you take some things away from a loss or a game that you didn't play well, and you can use that to get better. So that's a long version to answer your question. But I never take it for granted, because I know how hard and difficult it is, and trying to get the players to understand that and buy into it early on in the season, and then be consistent throughout the season, and get through these things that happen. And then at the end, you're in a position to go to the Frozen Four again, and you're 6 periods away from maybe being national champions, but knowing that each step now is more challenging and more difficult, so your focus stays on Penn State and what can we do to give ourselves a chance to win that game.